So those are the main learning points for this section. Let's now see the consequences of our broker's mistakes.
I see.
When I got back from holiday, I heard there'd been a fire and that Sir Lionel was having problems with the insurers. He made his displeasure very apparent, caused a bit of a stink.
How serious was the fire?
Pretty bad. A PR company hired the hall for a celebratory fireworks extravaganza. 500 guests had a great time until a rogue rocket set fire to part of the storage complex.
Got out of control pretty quickly, and the lack of car parking arrangements meant that the fire brigade couldn't get to the site quickly enough.
Why is Piers Bottomley being difficult?
He's unhappy about the cause of the fire. Says he knew nothing about the events business.
But I thought LBJ said that was all covered under the previous placement, and we were simply renewing on the same terms.
Well, he did, but we didn't check the old broker's files. I told Piers placement was on the same terms as last year when he gave his quote, but he's saying that he knew nothing of the events business and that it had never been covered before.
In any case, Piers was certainly never told about a fireworks extravaganza at a 15th century Tudor timbered hall with barns, as the survey describes them.
Didn't you explain to the clients they had to disclose everything, that otherwise they wouldn't be covered?
Well, it all seemed so simple at the time, and LBJ seemed so experienced, I assumed he understood.
Never assume anything. It is for that reason that we carefully set out details of the client duty of disclosure on the proposal form.
Which our procedures manual requires clients to sign.
Exactly. Anything else?
It seems LBJ's bank is claiming an interest here.
His bank? Andrew?
Well, I don't see what it's got to do with them.
LBJ mentioned he'd spent a lot on refurbishment and that his bank would want to be sure that their interests were protected. You remember that, don't you, Andrew? Andrew?
Oh, God.
And I suppose this could get much worse.
There are some other regulatory problems.
Silly me. Of course it can.
Although we did hand over our standard terms of business, we didn't prepare a demands and needs statement.
But the FSA say the client needs that before you conclude the policy, even on a renewal. Andrew?
But there wasn't time to prepare it. Sir Lionel needed immediate cover.
You should at least have said something verbally. The rules, if you'd bother to read them, do allow for that. Presumably you put something down on paper afterwards, so that he could check that we had everything covered. Oh dear. I think we could all do with a cup of coffee.
Oh, good idea, Jules.
2 sugars for me, Andrew. Now, Jules, was there anything else I needed to know about before we look at how we place the risk?
In this section, we've seen mistakes that have been made from early on in the process at the client meeting. Now, in the next section, we'll look at what can go wrong when the risk is placed with the underwriter.